You know, folks, I've said before that I've always been talking politics ever since I was a kid. I can't remember not talking about it. I know that sounds strange to some people. A lot of people will say to me, man, we never talked politics and religion growing up. That's pretty much all my family talked about. I can remember talking about it with my uncle when I was a little kid, and all through my teenage years into my 20s till the day he passed away. That was our conversation. I would go over to his house just to have that conversation. And it always fascinated me for whatever reason. I was the kid back in high school that on my lunch break, I would finish up eating, and then I would go up to the library and I would sit and read a book. We might have been studying something in history class, and I wanted to know more about that subject. So I had a really good teacher by the name of Mr. Baker, and Mr. Baker used to tell me other books to read, and I would go find them in the library and sit and read. And there were certain things we didn't study, and I'd say, well, why ain't we studying that? And he'd say, well, there's books about it in the library, and I was that kid. During all of that, I've always been used to politicians bullshitting you. You know, it's just, you know that. You know politicians are going to bullshit you. You know they're going to lie to you. And you know they're going to take the long way around to get to the point if they ever get there. And that's just something you always expected from both sides, really. There was times that, you know, I would sit and I would listen to Democrats and I'd go, God, just get to the point. Just answer the question, no. Or I would be saying, hit harder. That's always been my thing with Democrats. It's always been swing harder, hit harder, get in the mud, get dirty. Don't just stand there and take it. So I've always been the guy sitting back shouting at the screen. But nowadays, ever since MAGA hijacked the Republican Party, they just go ahead and say all the quiet parts out loud. They don't sugarcoat nothing. They just go ahead and tell you, hey, we're going to screw you. Hey, we're going to do absolutely nothing to help you. We're only in this for Donald Trump. But then they will sit back and complain about every problem going on and wonder why Democrats haven't fixed it. That's where we're at. And Coach D's here to break this one down, and he does a great job at it. Take a look at this.
What's up, everyone? I'm Coach D. So first of all, I want to thank you guys for all the support you've been giving me. We're now at 12,000 subscribers on YouTube, and we're on the road to 20,000 subscribers. So if you haven't yet hit that subscribe button, please do so. I really appreciate it. Okay, so let's talk about Republicans for a second here. Remember when they took over the majority in the House? This was a defining moment in our time because they were tired of all the logjam in Congress and they were ready to get to work for the American people. So what have they done so far? Like seriously, what have they done? It took them weeks to choose a Speaker of the House, only to end up filing a motion to vacate him and then getting rid of him basically because he wasn't doing Donald Trump's bidding. Then they spent time on lies about the Bidens, Hunter Biden's laptop, Ashley Biden's diary, and then claiming Joe Biden had engaged and taken bribes, so much so that they are still, right now, 2 years into an impeachment inquiry on him. And that concludes all of their accomplishments since taking over the House majority. They even elected a new Speaker of the House. They called him MAGA Mike because he was the most MAGA person in Congress, and he was definitely going to get things done for the MAGAs, of course. But you see, there's a method to their madness. It is no longer the quiet part, and they're definitely saying it out loud. Here's Troy Nils summing it all up literally in one sentence.
Everything that we do in the House of Representatives should be in the best interest of getting Donald Trump reelected. This guy right here.
Everything we do should be to get Donald Trump elected. Everything. This is why Marjorie Taylor Greene is now filing a motion to vacate MAGA Mike of all people. This guy was supposed to be their savior, but because he isn't doing every single thing that Donald Trump has told them to do, they're getting rid of his ass too. This is why Republicans spent a bunch of time writing a border bill. And then once that border bill was passed, Donald Trump told them to kill the bill, so they did. We now have no border bill, and it's because of Republicans. But now they're all out there saying that the border is wide open because Joe Biden wants it wide open. This Congress has been a complete embarrassment to America. They want Donald Trump to be their dictator so bad, and that's not even the worst part. The worst part is the irreparable damage that they've done to foreign relationships and domestic issues. Congress is full of hate and bigotry. These Republican legislators epitomize the definition of a do-nothing Congress. About 5 months ago, Chip Roy asked a question that the rest of us are still asking today.
One thing. I want my Republican colleagues to give me one thing. One. that I can go campaign on and say we did? One. Anybody sitting in the complex, if you want to come down to the floor and come explain to me one material, meaningful, significant thing the Republican majority has done.
And 5 months later, they still can't name one thing. Not one thing that any of them can campaign on that they've done for the American people. Unfortunately, they know their base. They know their supporters, and they'll be able to campaign on the fact that they tried to do everything they could to appease Donald Trump. And that is all the MAGAs care about. They don't care about America. They don't care about governing. They don't care about doing one damn thing for one single American citizen. They care about money, they care about power, and they care about Donald Trump. Period.
So yeah, they're just going ahead and saying right out loud that their loyalty is to Donald Trump. And I know it's about money. It's about money too. But I think Donald Trump is where the money's at for the moment with them. And so they're going to stick with Donald Trump. And they do not care about the American people or what we go through. They're just loyal to him. And it was never supposed to be that way, folks. There was never supposed to be a time when a party just became loyal to one man and his ideas and what he wants. And anyone out there, I mean, think about this. Donald Trump didn't cash in on any of his promises. He didn't fulfill any of them. He didn't do anything that he said he was going to do. Now they're all complaining about how bad it is, but they say Donald Trump is the guy that will fix it. Well, if he couldn't fix it the first go around, if everybody he picked that he said was the very best and the smartest people, if he surrounded himself with nothing but the best, and then they said that he was a lost ball in high weeds, they said it was a complete and total clusterfuck backstage, watching him try to figure out how it all worked, then why should anybody with a voice of reason inside them at all think that he'll get it right the next go around? All he's doing now is just putting people in place that he can manipulate and that he can use. He's not putting people in there that are experienced. You want to tell me Laura Trump's got experience? She doesn't. He's just going to put yes people in place. And that's something we don't need in this country, and that's something we should all be concerned about, and that's why we should be hyped up and ready to go to the polls. Now, I know a lot of people will say to me, Brando, I can't speak out because, of my job. I've got a job that if I spoke out, I would lose my job, and I can't afford that. I completely understand where you're coming from. But you know what you can do? You can talk to one other person. You don't have to post it on social media, but you can talk to one other person who seems to be on the fence, and you can sit and talk with that person. Anything you can do to get people to realize what's at stake in November, we all need to be doing it. And something else we need to be doing is going over and subscribing to Coach D's YouTube channel. Folks, he's one of my favorite voices out there. I always love it when he comes on the channel. His channel is Coach D_speaks. I'm going to tag it in the video or in this video below. So be sure to go over there. He's made it to 12,000. He's on his way to 20, and we're going to get him all the way to 100. We're just going to keep doing it because he's a very important piece in our pro-democracy movement. And remember, folks, that's what this is all about. We're not loyal to Joe Biden. We're not loyal to the Democratic Party. We're loyal to America and to democracy, and that's why we're here.